What would happen if the sun simply disappeared? Not exploded, not slowly died, just vanished instantly without warning. Here's what makes this truly terrifying. You wouldn't know. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, sunlight already crossing 150 million kilometers of space would keep flooding the Earth. The sky would look normal. Your morning would feel completely ordinary, but the source of all of it would already be gone. And what follows those 8 minutes is a cascade of consequences that no one on this planet could possibly prepare for. This illusion of safety is governed by a fundamental law of physics, the speed of light. Light does not travel instantaneously. Even at the cosmic speed limit of 300,000 kilometers per second, crossing the vast gulf of space between our star and our planet takes time. Specifically, it takes approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds for a photon born in the solar photosphere to complete its 150 million kilometer transit to Earth. When the sun vanishes, the final stream of light ever produced is already rushing through the cold void of the solar system. Think of it as a cosmic wave of energy. The source has been destroyed, but the waves are still rolling toward the shore. For those 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the Earth is bathed in this residual energy, receiving the light that left the sun just before its disappearance. The planet's energy balance remains briefly undisturbed as the surface continues to absorb the standard 1 kilowatt of solar energy per square meter that sustains our climate. Across the globe, life goes on. Waves crash on beaches, crops absorb energy, and solar panels generate electricity. People walk through parks and look up at a perfectly bright sky, completely unaware that their source of life has already ceased to exist. We are living inside a phantom window, a delay of 500 seconds where our reality is disconnected from the actual state of the cosmos. This delay is not a glitch in nature, but a hard limit of space-time. Until those final photons arrive and strike our atmosphere, the physical reality of the solar system remains hidden from us. We exist in a state of borrowed time, completely blind to the quiet catastrophe that has already occurred. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a mother watches her child play on the grass. Across the city, commuters sit in afternoon traffic, checking their watches and worrying about being late for dinner. In offices, schools, and hospitals, billions of people continue their daily routines, completely unaware of the physical reality. The air is still warm, the light is still golden, the sky remains a familiar, reassuring blue. This normalcy is sustained by the thermal inertia of our planet. The atmosphere acts as a giant greenhouse, retaining the warmth accumulated over days and weeks. Because of this natural insulation, there is no sudden drop in temperature, no chill in the breeze, no immediate physical warning. A person walking down the street still feels the pleasant warmth of the afternoon sun on their skin. The illusion is absolute. This disconnect between what we see and what has actually occurred is the quietest moment of the catastrophe. The source of our gravity and light is gone. The planet has already been released from its orbital bond, beginning a silent slide into the dark. Yet, the physical signs of this cosmic shift have not yet reached us. We are living in an event that we cannot yet perceive. Every heartbeat, every breath taken during this quiet period belongs to a world that has already ended. A farmer looks at his wheat field, planning for the upcoming harvest, unaware that those crops will never see another sunrise. A satellite continues to transmit weather data to a ground station, mapping cloud patterns that will soon freeze in place. The systems of human civilization, our power grids, our communications, our societies, are operating on a countdown that nobody can hear. The sheer scale of this silence is terrifying. In the final seconds of this window, the last wave of sunlight is about to pass us. The golden hour is ending. The Earth continues to rotate, but the light itself is simply running out. The final photons are hitting the surface, absorbed by the soil, the leaves, and the eyes of people who are looking up, waiting for a sunset from which the world will never wake. At exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the disappearance, the 500th second arrives. The final wave of solar photons, traveling at 300,000 kilometers per second, strikes the upper atmosphere. This is a sharp, absolute boundary in space. On one side of this invisible line, there is light. On the other, the endless black of the cosmic void. There is no twilight, no gradual fading, and no warning. In a fraction of a millisecond, the blue sky disappears. The scattered light that colored our atmosphere is snuffed out. Rather than sinking below the horizon, the sun simply vanishes. Midday instantly becomes pitch black. Across the daylight hemisphere, billions of people look up to find the sky replaced by a cold, unfamiliar expanse of stars. The constellations appear with a sharp, icy clarity, unhindered by the glare of our lost star. For the first time in human history, the entire planet experiences night simultaneously. Then, the moon goes dark. Because it only shone by reflecting solar light, it vanishes from the sky, leaving a black void where a bright sphere stood only moments before. Across the solar system, the planets extinguish one by one as the final wave of sunlight sweeps past their orbits, leaving them in darkness. The Earth is now plunged into a blackness deeper than any natural night. The air is still warm from the day's heat, but the source of that warmth is gone. This is the exact moment the cosmic delay ends, and physical reality catches up with our world. The ground remains still, and the air is silent, yet the darkness is absolute. The optical link between our planet and our star is severed forever. We are left standing in the dark, staring into an empty sky, waiting for a dawn that will never come. Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity established that gravity travels at a finite speed. It propagates as a wave through space-time at exactly 300,000 kilometers per second, matching the speed of light. Because of this universal speed limit, the gravitational pull holding Earth in its orbit behaves exactly like the sunlight we just lost. When the sun vanished, the ripple of its sudden absence raced outward through the void. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, our planet continued to curve along its usual path, orbiting a ghost star that had already ceased to exist. Now, at the exact moment the last photons strike our atmosphere and darkness falls, the gravitational wave front reaches us, the invisible anchor snaps, and the planetary bond is severed. Without the sun's centripetal pull, the Earth does not slowly spiral outward into the dark. Instead, its trajectory changes instantly. The planet continues forward along a straight line, flying off on a tangent to its former orbit at 30 kilometers per second, over 67,000 miles per hour. At this incredible velocity, our world transforms from a bound planet into an unmoored rogue wanderer, cast out into the cold dark. The moon remains locked to us, held by our mutual gravity, but the solar system itself is breaking apart. Every world, released from the central anchor at different moments depending on its distance, now hurtles along its own independent path through the void. There is no coming back. The geometric curves that defined our seasons and years are gone forever, replaced by a cold, endless trajectory. Earth has left its orbit for good, charting a straight course into the absolute dark of interstellar space. The sudden flight of the planet is written across the darkening sky. The moon, which has lit human history with reflected sunlight, instantly vanishes from view. Without the solar rays that bounce off its dusty surface, it becomes a cold, invisible sphere, a dead silhouette against the stars. Within minutes, this quiet erasure overtakes the rest of our cosmic neighbors. The planets Venus, Jupiter, and Mars extinguish one by one as the final wave of light sweeps past their orbits and disappears into the cosmic black. The ancient celestial markers that guided travelers for millennia are gone. The old order of the heavens is completely dismantled, leaving Earth to drift through a quiet, frozen expanse, utterly alone. On the ground, the sudden dark immediately breaks the systems that keep modern life running. Solar grids across the daytime hemisphere go dead. Photovoltaic farms, which seconds ago supplied gigawatts of electricity to cities, stop producing power instantly. This sudden loss of generation triggers a severe frequency drop across interconnected electrical networks. Protective relays open, and power stations trip offline to protect themselves, sending a cascade of blackouts rolling through transmission lines. Within minutes, entire continents lose light. Elevators freeze between floors. Subway trains grind to a halt in dark tunnels. Traffic signals go dark, instantly jamming city intersections. As mobile networks and internet servers lose power, digital communications fail, leaving billions of people unable to call for help or reach their families. At the same time, the air begins to cool. Without the constant warmth of the sun, the ground radiates its heat into space and temperatures drop. The immediate change is small, but the sudden, persistent chill is felt in every draft. This is the moment the situation changes from a massive power failure to an existential crisis. People spill into the streets, guided only by car headlights and cell phone screens. The familiar background hum of air conditioners, engines, and appliances fades into a heavy, disorienting quiet. There is no official announcement, no explanation, and no timeline for recovery. As the hours pass and the cold deepens, a realization spreads. This is not a temporary emergency. The sun is not coming back. Within 48 hours, the global average temperature drops below freezing, locking fertile mid-latitude soils in frost. By the seventh day of darkness, the planet cools to -20 degrees Celsius, and a thin, glassy sheet of ice begins to crystallize across the surface of the oceans. Without sunlight, photosynthesis halts instantly. Green plants wither, and the primary foundation of the world's food web disappears. Forest ecosystems grow silent as starving herbivores perish, initiating a rapid collapse that moves steadily up to the top predators. While human societies huddle in freezing cities, the true devastation unfolds across the wider natural world. This is the beginning of a complete biological shutdown. The ancient planetary systems that sustained life for billions of years are running out of energy, quietly freezing in the dark. In Brussels, Washington, and Tokyo, the political machinery struggles to catch up with physics. For days, leaders treated the darkness as a catastrophic grid failure. Now they recognize a permanent planetary event. Under an expanded global disaster protocol, the United Nations issues an immediate worldwide alert, while national governments invoke martial law and general emergency acts simultaneously. Existing legal frameworks, designed for regional storms or nuclear accidents, are useless against a world drifting out of the solar system. Normal commerce stops, governments seize power stations, fuel stockpiles, and grain silos to enforce strict rationing. Survival planning replaces daily life as institutions begin preparing for a calculated retreat into the deep crust of the Earth. 365 days without a star leaves the Earth unrecognizable. The planet is no longer merely damaged. It has become a silent, completely frozen world drifting through the void. The global average temperature has stabilized at a bone-chilling -73 degrees Celsius. Across the globe, the oceans are locked under a thick sheet of ice, freezing from the surface downward into solid glaciers. On land, the forests, plains, and cities are entombed in perpetual frost. Virtually all surface life is gone, extinguished by the brutal cold and the absolute absence of light. The atmosphere itself is beginning to change as water vapor precipitates out completely. What remains is a quiet, alien world, a monument to a solar system that no longer exists. Beneath the frozen crust, the planet's internal warmth keeps a quiet world alive. Far underground and around hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, ecosystems persist without a single ray of sunlight. Powered by a faint geothermal heat flow of 0.06 watts per square meter, chemosynthetic bacteria thrive, establishing the final outposts of life. Here in the dark, any surviving humans must mirror this retreat, huddling in subterranean caverns and undersea shelters. This is not a new beginning, but a holding action. Life continues only by hiding, a silent residue of a once-living world. Millions of years pass. The Earth is now a frozen rogue planet, a silent sphere sailing through the boundless void of interstellar space. The solar system has long since ceased to exist as a bound system. Without the central anchor of the sun, the other planets have drifted away, scattered into the galactic dark, leaving Earth entirely alone. The thin atmosphere has condensed and frozen solid, coating the surface in a quiet crust of nitrogen and oxygen ice. Above this dead world, no companion planets or moons remain. Only the cold, ancient stars of the Milky Way sprawl across the black sky, casting a faint glow on a lonely traveler that will drift through the galaxy forever in the absolute dark. Today, we drift through the dark, entirely dependent on a single silent anchor. We live on borrowed light, suspended over an infinite abyss of absolute zero. Every sunrise is not a cosmic guarantee, but a fragile privilege. Our sun feels permanent, but the universe reminds us nothing lasts forever.